All right. Hey guys, Disco here. Been a little while since checked in. Wanted to spend a couple of minutes and kind of provide an update on how things are going. Quick review. As most folks know, I was working as a director of product support engineering and certification for an engineering services company in San Diego. I've been there for about 11 years. I've been in that industry for about 25, 26 years, and was laid off almost exactly a year ago. The 30th of September will be my 1 year anniversary. Um, so after that unexpected layoff, I had a potential opportunity to fly corporate aircraft as a corporate pilot, and I took the month of October to prepare. Went and did an accelerated commercial multi add-on course in Las Vegas in November, and then started flying with the company I'm with now in December. So been here for about 10 months. Was just looking at the logbook the other day. I've flown about 365 hours or so in the last 10 months. That's a lot. Um, Most of that has been in the King Air 350, but sometime in the Pilatus PC-12 and Cheyenne 1. So, kind of been enjoying it, and thought I'd provide kind of a quick overview, sort of the journey into becoming a corporate pilot and how that's gone. Um, Probably one of the biggest things I noticed in the first couple of months was just the learning curve for really using the National Aerospace System. It's something that if you're a private pilot, or if, like I am, I had a commercial single engine license but never flew for hire. If you start flying professionally, you'll notice a pretty substantial change in your approach to communications, how you use a radio, what you say, what you don't say. Similarly, a lot more flight planning, a lot more engaging with flight service, engaging with flightplan.com, which is a fantastic resource. Learning ForeFlight, because that's what our flight department uses, where I'm a Garmin guy. So going from Android to Apple iOS, getting an iPad to run ForeFlight on, those were all kind of some learning curve challenges. But really, over the last 10 months, like I said, it's about 365 hours, probably 150 days or so in terms of duty days. Um, Been through King Air SIC, second in command, recurrent, probably twice now. We just did it a week ago. Um, we use the King Air Academy in Deer Valley. They have AATD simulators on motion bases, so you can't do like a type rating there purely in the sim. But a very good overall, good structure, great instructors, good program, and so was real happy to finish that up here recently. And then after that, it's really been just staying focused on flying as best I can. Building my own flows or learning existing flows. Use of the checklist. The organization that I fly for is an aircraft management company, and we directly manage four Super King Air 350s, a Piper Cheyenne 1, and a Pilatus PC-12. Then we provide pilot services for um, a couple of King Air 360s or 350s, a 350 and a 360, and then several King Air 200s. And so it's good that this particular organization has a lot of structure to it. We have a standard operating procedure document. We have our own flows and checklists that we teach. And as a result of that, since I'm now, through some strange twist of events, kind of the senior second in command, there are guys with more experience than I have, but they don't fly as much. Um, I'll get to go through, should be the first to go through our internal SIC type rating program. So we'll basically go through systems, limitations, memory items, all the things that you need to know to effectively fly the airplane. We'll document that process, and then that will result in me getting a 6155 sign off as a King Air 350 SIC. So that'll be my first actual type rating. So that'll be kind of fun. Kind of shortly after that, probably before the end of the year, I should be in school for the Pilatus PC-12, and that'll be fun. That's almost completely single pilot operation. It's a lot of operation in Mexico, so basically depart airport here in the U.S., cross the border, do customs and immigration in Mexico and at a port of entry airport, and then if need be, fly on to other destinations. And so a lot of operation in the kind of the upper half of Baja California, and then within California, Salinas and some other places. So should be a good time. Really looking forward to that. The PC-12 is kind of an interesting airplane in terms of capability and performance. So looking forward to that. There's some possibility that we'll end up with one, possibly two jets in the program next year. A couple of the owners are looking at the trips that they do, the time that they spend in the airplane, and looking to maybe shorten some of those times. So we'll see what happens there. I'm kind of it'd be a lot of fun to get say a Hawker 850 or a Cessna XL or XLS. So looking forward to see kind of how that plays out. Really haven't been flying for fun as much, at least ways not in real aircraft. I've been enjoying quite a bit of sim flying lately. Predominantly X-Plane 11, a little bit of Prepared 3D, mostly because there are good facsimiles of the airplanes that we fly in those simulations that I can use to stay current on procedures and flows. I fly in VR, so it's actually very helpful. I can position myself in the right seat, or if I know I'm going to fly left seat, I'll fly over there. And it's really just a good way to stay frosty on procedures, use of the aerospace system, shooting approaches down to minimums, bad weather, one engine, some things that we're not going to normally do in the airplane unless there's an actual emergency. So definitely enjoying that. Kind of last, I did take the decision a couple months ago to sell my Yak. I'm going to finish up its conditional and get it sold. It is currently listed. I think I have it on Barnstormers. I'm going to put it on Traded Plane as well. I'll miss it in a couple of ways, but my flying mission is substantially different now, both in terms of obviously wanting to stay night and instrument current, and if I can't do it in the SIC function in the airplanes, then I need to go out and do that in an airplane on my own, and that's either in a friend's airplane, renting one from one of the flying clubs, or eventually maybe looking at a different airplane down the road, replacing the Yak with something that's a bit more practical. So not sure how that's going to work out, but I'd like to be able to run back to Wichita to see family and friends a bit. And even though the airlines are always going to be slightly cost competitive, that process is so unenjoyable to me at this stage that I would much rather fly myself, even if it costs a little more. So we'll see what pops up as a potential replacement for the Yak down the road. But in the meantime, I need to get it processed and out of the way. Basically, that was it. I just kind of wanted to touch on that one subject that I've seen come up online a bunch, and we'll talk about it here for a minute, is this whole concept of, hey, I have the following condition or concern, can I be a pilot? That happens a lot. And I went through that myself. I originally, my parents and I believed when I was, I don't know, maybe 10, 14 years old, that time frame. We didn't think that as an amputee and with bad eyes that I'd be able to be a pilot. And it really wasn't until I was about 15, I was reading through the Federal Aviation Regulations, like all 15-year-olds do. And I noticed that there was a mechanism in the medical regs where you can demonstrate ability, basically. You can go out, fly with an examiner, and show them that you can fly the airplane, basically, and deal with whatever issue you may have. So, I learned about special issuances. Now, I don't have one, but I learned about it. I learned about this Statement of Demonstrated Ability waiver, which I do hold. And the whole point of that is that if you think you want to fly, either for fun or professionally, and you're not sure, reach out to either disabled pilots like myself. There's the Wheelchair Pilots Association, a couple of really other decent groups. You can reach out to an AME, an aeromedical examiner. Those are the physicians that we go to get our medical certificate, on a scheduled basis. The AOPA, Aircraft Owner and Pilots Association, they have a pretty good help program that's available for members. But really, at the end of the day, I'm going to borrow something from a big YouTuber, CW Lemoyne. Make them tell you no. If you think you want to fly for fun or professionally, but you have either a disability or a history of, say, neurological disorder, or having had, like I did, some counseling after a major injury, accident, in my case the amputation of my right foot. All of those things are initially disqualifying, but you can push for a special issuance, for example, if you've had heart problems, or in my case, Statement of Demonstrated Ability waiver. Sometimes you may need to get a letter from a physician. Particularly if you ever did any counseling, you'll be required to jump through a couple of hoops. But those are all surmountable. And so, again, if you're interested in flying, think you want to do it, I'm a perfect example for that. My uncorrected vision is awful, so I have to wear my glasses or contacts. I have to wear my leg if I'm going to fly. Can't walk out to the airplane without it, but it's a limitation on my medical. Must wear prosthetic. So you go through all of that. You can still learn how to fly. You can come up with technique to adapt. Like in my case, I have to move my leg around in order to get on the brakes. The brakes on aircraft are on the rudder pedals that we use to steer on the ground and in the air. And so I have to position my leg high and then push with it to get onto toe brakes, for example. You just figure out what the technique is to adapt and use it. As an example, not to impress, but to impress upon you the fact that it's possible, I fly formation, I fly aerobatics, I fly aerobatic formation flights. I've flown helicopter, I have a tailwheel endorsement. When I did my tailwheel training, I got qualified on aircraft with heel brakes and toe brakes. Those are two completely different approaches and require two very different technique adaptations for me. But I'm able to do it. And I ride motorcycles, I do all of that. So don't let a perceived limitation become an absolute limitation until you've at least tried, would be my advice. I think as human beings, we have a tendency to limit ourselves way more than we need to. And in the case of people who want to fly, I can tell you the sense of freedom that comes from flying in general is unmatched. Nothing in life will feel as good as flying does, in my opinion. So flying for fun, hugely fun. Flying and getting paid to do it is a whole other animal for me. Now, I still really, really enjoy it. As pilots, we have these milestones that we kind of push for. The next milestone that I have is I'll be achieving what are called Part 135 pilot command minimums, probably maybe next month. And these are, you look at that and it's like it's an achievement. I've flown enough that I can now have this kind of responsibility in a professional flying world, and so those are things that continue. And you don't have those kinds of qualifications necessarily that you can reach in all hobbies and or professions. And so I remain just profoundly grateful for the fact that I'm able to do this. I'm really enjoying it. And again, if you want to fly or think you want to fly and not sure you can, go find an instructor. If you have issues, talk to them about the issues, and then see if you collectively between you and they can come up with some adaptations. Before you get too deep into it, obviously check on the medical side so you understand if there are going to be any special flights. Like I had to take a special check ride with the FAA only. You can't do it with a designated examiner. And basically had to prove that I could fly the airplane safely as a result of my amputation. I was able to, and here I am, 30 years later, finally flying for hire. So that's kind of the quick update. Really, really having fun in Salt Lake City today. I can probably tell I'm in a hotel room. Be here for a couple of days. Then we'll go back out to the desert near Palm Springs. Do some flying around out there, and then I think I have a couple of days off, which will be nice. Been averaging about 18 to 20 days a month of duty, which is great. Probably again 150, 160 days in the last 10 months. So since I get paid by the day, that's a good thing. Like I said, about 360 hours, which is quite a bit of flying. That's probably 2.5 times as much flying as I've done even in my busiest individual year as a private pilot. And for corporate, that's a lot of flying. We don't normally fly quite that much. So it's been a great year, really enjoying it. So hope everybody's doing well. Feel free to pop in with questions in the comments section. Happy to answer them. If you've enjoyed it, like, share, subscribe, all the good stuff. So anyway, that's all I had. So we'll check up with you guys later. This goes out.